welcome and thanks for your attention and your time you brought with you. I'm going to talk behind you about a difficult thing and about challenging times we publishers have to face. And I want to start with my main thesis, which I would like to put bottom line up front, that digital business is not about transferring paper into PDFs, that digitalization in the publishing media is not about bringing up websites and web shops, that digitalization is not about bringing a book to an e-book account and selling it by Amazon. In fact, digitalization in the publishing area is not a means of technology, but a totally different business model we have to face. Right up to now, for, in our example, 240 years, some years 250 years, we sold content. And now a publisher sells access to a digital ecosystem which turns around the content of a composer, but not scores or sheets of music alone. So access versus content, this is all what digitalization is about. And in fact, this revolution of the business model is a revolution for all our companies and all the publishing businesses. And I'm going to talk about that today. So this is the main thesis, and we'll come to that in the next 30 minutes. You've heard at the beginning some music from us. As nearly all publishers, we not only print anything, but we all do so, we multiply our know-how. And you've heard film music. We started this business with Disney in 1938. And we are working with all the major Hollywood producers and all the major Hollywood studios. And in fact, this film music you've seen with Mad Men and a lot of advertising and Titanic and Shutter Island, etc., makes something about 20% of our turnover. We'll never see again. And what we do is we do totally music concepts for films or for industries or even for universities. If you ever put music on your website, ask us beforehand, because putting music on the website is not that easy regarding intellectual property rights, because if you put music on a website, it's assumed that you have all the intellectual property rights for every country which has international access, which are 170 countries. And believe me, the intellectual property rights are quite different in these countries. And if you don't have a professional agent into that, don't put music on a website. It is not your own music. It's very, very difficult. And we help with that. Okay. Let's go into that and hope the technical will work. For the native speakers, please excuse my English. Our company language still is German, because we are situated in Mainz for 240 years. And I'm going to concentrate on four major points this evening. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about, if we talk about value chain management, what is value about? What is really value, and what is value creation with digital rights in the past and in the future? Second, I want to confront you. I've understood that you are orientated on the economic side of media sciences with the management of new products and intellectual rights in depth. That has a lot to do with processes and that has a lot to do with systems. And we'll have a little look into what a music publisher does to sell intellectual property rights worldwide. And after that, we'll come to, in the end, to 7 theses, how you can be successful in digital business. And main thesis, bottom line up front, I think these rules are the same for all digital businesses. There's no different rule for publishing or for filming or for gaming or for Industry 4.0. The rules to be successful in digital business are all the same in all businesses. And so it's quite nice to know them. That's about it. Do we have any native speakers here for English? No? Okay. then you make the same mistakes as I do. So please correct me. This is our main website, and you see here Fazıl Say. He is a Turkish composer, and we're quite fond of him because, first of all, he's new, he's quite good looking, and he makes beautiful music. What not so many people know is that Atatürk was quite fond of Hindemith. And Hindemith stayed in Turkey for something about 5 to 10 years. So we have an ecosystem of music of our time composers in Turkey, which make beautiful music because they combine and bring together European history with Turkish and Oriental history, and it's beautiful music. So if you ever come to Fazıl Say, he's very good music, and we are quite fond of him. He is one of our rising stars, a composer orientated. We are situated in Mainz, but we have subsidiaries everywhere in the world because music is a worldwide business. There's no need to translate music, which is quite the best thing about music. Every human being understands music from the first time, even before birth. We started going international with London in 80-20, and we've covered all the English-speaking countries. And right now we are most interested in the Asian market. We started Tokyo 30 years ago. We have a subsidiary there with over 20 employees, and we are accessing the Chinese market with the acquisition of Chinese composers, the Korean markets, and the Indonesian markets. Quite fascinating. In China, there are 80 million people who are interested in and studying classical European music. 80 million. That's quite a market, and it's still growing. In South Korea, there are 50 million people who practice our classical European instruments. It's a sign of the middle class, so quite good for us. What we really do is, besides film music, is that we print digital rights on paper. And in fact, we have 80,000 sheets of music and titles in our backlist, which you can buy, 80,000 different products. And we put up 500 new products per year, which start with Wagner, which is one of our main composers, and go quite to all the different kinds. We are addressing target groups in the professional area. We are addressing splendid amateurs, and we are addressing musical education pupil from 2 years old in the elementary musical school bis until death. The whole life cycle of an amateur musical. Our Wagner, of course, has nothing to do with intellectual property rights, and Beethoven too, our main composers in the starting area, because they are free. You don't have to pay them to get the scores. These are the copyright protected composers of us, which are the basic of our business. You've heard them in the film music. It was Stravinsky, Hindemith, Korngold, Ligeti, Penderecki, etc. If you don't know them, you will have heard them if you have seen Kubrick, if you have seen Shutter Island or things like that. Because all the music of these, especially Ligeti and Penderecki, are in these films incorporated. What our business really is about is to say the truth and to dirty the secret of music publishing. We are betting industry in the forest business, and I'm going to explain that. If you're in the forest industry, you're growing trees. You're planting a lot of trees. Maybe this is a tree, but it doesn't be like that. Tree, 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 and another tree. You plant them, and actually you wait for 130 years. 130 years. And you start cutting trees out of these after 30 to 40 years. And you cut out 10% of the trees per year. 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% per year. So that after 130 years, you will be left with 10% of the trees which have the biggest value and which have the biggest wood value and which you sell. This is forest industry, long orientated, and to be true. Music publishing is nearly the same. Because what we plant is not trees, but composers. Etc., etc., etc. Think about 100 composers. I'm not going to draw them all, 100 composers. We usually acquire them at the age of 25 to 30. If we go later, they're more expensive. If we go earlier, younger, they're not that experienced in music from the artistic side. Best age is something about 25, 28, 29, 30, because they will have some pieces already done, and they are still manageable and coachable. And if we get them at 30, maybe we'll coach them till death, which is something about 80 years. So 50 years of coaching, of supporting him, of financing this composer, and still the revenue out of this composer is not profitable. Usually a composer of good and classical music becomes profitable about 20 to 30 years after his death. The ecosystem takes so long to learn about this composer, to treat him right, to become famous, etc., etc. 20 to 30 years after death. And after that, we have another 40 years to 70 years after death, in which we can monetize this composer. I know this sounds terrific and not that artistically nice, but in fact, the business is about that. So, you get break-even with the composer after 20 to 30 years, and after this break-even, he repays all that you have invested in the years before. And after that, he helps you to invest and to treat all the other composers you have acquired from these 100. And you now may understand why it's a forest industry, because the timeline is essentially the same. We go from 30 to 70 years after death. Regarding a death at 80 is 130 years. So the digital rights contracts I sign, I never know if they are successful. Not my son will know if they are successful, his son will know. And we live from the digital rights contracts which were signed 80 to 90 years ago for Stravinsky, for Congo, etc., etc. What do you think? How many of our composers, how many percent become profitable from 100? 100% we start with, how many will become profitable? Any idea? 1, 2%? Any other idea? It's exactly true. 1 to 2%, not more. 1 to 2%. The problem is you don't know which of these 100 become profitable. This is betting. In fact, it's betting. So, if you think about which become really profitable, it's not only 1 to 2%, but it's 0.1% or 1 per mil, which become really profitable as the 10 I've shown you before. These guys, 10, are the most profitable out of our 7,000 composers right now. We have 7,000 composers, and these are the 1.0 out of we live. So it's betting. Better than Lotto, because at Lotto the chance is 1 to 27 million. But not as good as forest industry. So we are a betting business in the forest industry. That is music publishing, and that's the value chain. Nothing to do that much with organization, but with the right nose, the right feeling, and guts to go into the invest. The grandfather of our editor started the business with Wagner by buying the rights for the Meistersinger. And Wagner was quite keen on economic issues, so he sold the rights for the Meistersinger for 100,000 gold marks. 100,000 gold marks is gigantic. Some you get 2 villas out of 100,000 gold marks at that time. And the grandfather of our publisher right now invested all his money and the money of his wife into this. And he knew nothing about if he would be successful. And we sold the Klavierauszug of the Meistersinger 100,000 times in the first year. So everything came back in the first year. This is luck. This is good betting. And, but nevertheless, all that our business is about is betting business in the forest industry. What are we going to do with these intellectual property rights we gained from the author? What is the musical value chain for publisher is about, or for the author is about? Because we are nothing more than a mean for the author of getting his money. You might have heard of these grand rights and small rights, großes Recht and kleines Recht, which are differentiated in the legal business. There's no clean definition what a grand right is and what a small right is, really, if you look at the literature. Keep in mind, the grand right has always something to do with performance or with einer Bühne on which it's performed. If you go to an opera house, a festival concert, all these rights to do this opera or to do this concert is treated in a grand right, and it's individually constructed for this broadcasting. The small rights are usually executed via companies which bring in the licensing fees as GEMA is. And the small rights are very important for radio, for TV, for CD production, etc., etc. One of the main streaming over here is broadcasting, and we'll see in the numbers and in the figures that streaming becomes more and more important. Streaming, legally referred, is nothing more than broadcasting. You don't acquire the music. It's treated as streaming is the same as broadcasting. Sheet music is still 30% of our business, but declining. But nevertheless, all these are, in fact, the musical value chain on which we live. Let's have a look at the market side over there. The market for music business, if you go to music business, is 6 billion euros in Germany. 6,2 Milliarden, not German billion, but American billion, which is one per mil of the grand national product. And it's 4.8 of the creative economy, not more. Music is only 1.4 of the creative economy. Film music, filming, etc., gaming is much, much bigger and much more interesting to that. So if you look for your professional life, and if you go into music, it's only 1.4 of the availability you have if you go into media sciences. If you have a look at that, you might don't see them. There are 13,000 companies engaged in music business in Germany. 13,000 companies for 6.2 billion euros makes a turnover per company of 450,000 euro. That might sound much, but with a turnover of 450,000 euros, you can get 4 to 5 employees, not more. So usually we have a very fragmented market with very, very small firms. In Germany we have 1,200 music publishers with nearly the same turnover per publisher, and I'm a little proud to say that we are the biggest by far into that. So if you go into music publishing or if you go into the music business, it will be small companies as your employer and with not that much turnover to get. The legal music market, I think Florian Brücke, if he was before me, I said that before, is growing, which is quite nice. goes up. And this has to do with the digital download so far. But we are so fond that in 2013 it grew, and that as far as I have been informed by Florian, that it have been growing also in 2014. So the problem, out of our opinion, of illegal digital download is not that much anymore, because the people, out of our opinion, which download digital music without any legal substance wouldn't never buy a legal copy at all. They would, so there are no lost customers. Where we would never get them. Classical music also grows. As you see from this chart, classical music, which we stand for, is only 20% of the whole market. Pop in Germany is something about 500 million euros. Classical music is something about 85 million euros in 2012, and it's 90 million euros in 2013. Not a big market, not a big business, but nevertheless growing and still fighting. And as you see, not that much confronted with digital downloads. Classical music is still a thing with CDs and physical means in the distribution. So music distribution, and this refers to Germany as a whole, is still analog. The physical distribution via CDs, DVDs, etc. is 70% of the market. The digital only 22%. In America, it's the other way around. 20% physical and 70% digital. But in Germany, it's still physical. And the real McCoy for the next year is streaming. Streaming subscription will go to something of 35% of the musical market. And we are looking quite positive in the future, because with streaming, the turnover per capita of the music hero is doubled. Usually, a citizen of Germany pays something like 62 euros per year in capita for music. And as you all know, a Spotify subscription costs something about 9 euros, so you go up to 120 euros. That means that Spotify and streaming subscription doubles the turnover in music. So we are quite fond about that. We are not fond about the licensing fee we get out of that. It's a totally different theme, but we believe that streaming will increase the market share and the turnover we have in the market. So we are fond of Spotify. There's different opinions in the media. You will hear different opinions if you go on the internet, but we as music publishers are not that afraid of Spotify or any streaming business. What really is bad for us is that the music wholesale goes down by minus 4%. You've seen that a lot of our business is scores and sheet music, and that we have 80,000 products of sheet music. These are distributed usually by music wholesalers, and the wholesale goes down by 4%. Last year we had 500 wholesalers in Germany. Now, this year, we have 450. So music wholesale goes down 10% per year. The effect of this is catastrophic. If you go to a wholesaler and you want to sell something about, or you want to buy something about for 100 euro, the good wholesaler brings you that you will spend 120 to 125 euros. If you go to Amazon and want to spend 100 euros, you will come out with 105 euros. 105 euros, so 5 euros added value from Amazon versus 25 euro or 25% added value in the wholesaler. So if a wholesaler dies, 20% of the market goes down. It never comes again. This is the main problem. This is the main problem. And as you see, the internet business in Germany is stagnating. Amazon is not growing. Not growing. These are the numbers from 2013, and the numbers of 2014 are the same. Regarding the book publishing business, the wholesaler of books are increasing by 1%, the direct business of the publishers are increasing by 1.5%, and the internet sales by Amazon and Libri goes down by 0.5%. Amazon is not growing in the media business. No. It's not true. So even that makes it more complicated for us. So, in fact, the musical value chain we have over here, there are winners and losers, and I mark the losers with red. Of course, CD goes down, sheet music goes down. And what is really attractive about grant rights, performance events and streaming, which in fact make a positive edge for the copyrights of our authors right now. We don't know what comes in the future, but still we are on the positive side. So far for the market and for the value chain as a whole. If you look at how we do this, I'm going to confront you with two examples of our work in detail. If you want to publish new scores or new titles, or if you want to have a new CD or something like this, keep in mind that you have to bring this title in 170 different national markets, because you have 170 digital rights economies in the world. You have to make them clear for the Russian rights, you have to make them clear for the Chinese rights, you have to make them clear for the US rights, you have to make them clear for the German rights, etc., etc., etc. 170 rights worldwide. You have to have in mind the tax system of 170 countries, income tax system, because if an author sells a score or a sheet music in Russia, he has to pay Russian income tax. You have to keep that in mind. And all these things make it very complicated to bring a title or a new product in the international market. In fact, to do so, you have to follow this process, just for bringing in the title. And you see there are a lot of process steps. In fact, there's something about 20 steps, and you see that there are over 10 different departments of our company working into that in subsidiaries. And all these steps are done in London, all these steps are done in Beijing, all these steps are done in Seoul, all these steps are done in Madrid, etc., Moscow, always the same. And then we use something about 14 different systems to get all these things in the different and specialized systems, IT systems, to organize this. Of course, this has a lot to do with the economic side, because bringing in all these data into the systems, keeping all this process tracking, costs time. If you go to a printing process, it costs something about 470 minutes. And with 50 euros per hour, this amounts to something like 340 euros for just creating one title worldwide sellable. If you go to a digital product, it will be something about 190 euros or 220 minutes. And you say, why is this guy talking about 200 euros? It's crazy, isn't it? What is 200 euros about? Taxi drive from Berlin to Potsdam or something like this. You have to keep in mind these are costs, not turnover. And usually a publisher has a return on turnover of something between 3 to 4%, not more, 3 to 4%, because of this. We only have 1% profitable composers which have the income of these we have to use to keep all the 99 composers alive. So we only take 3 to 4% of the income from the composers for ourselves. If you have 3% return on turnover, you have to multiply each euro cost with 33. Mathematically. If you have 1 euro cost, you have to have 33 euros turnover to pay 1 euro cost. If you have 10 euros cost, you have to have 330 euros turnover. If you have 100 euros cost, you have to have 3,333 euros turnover, and so on. So we have seen 100 euros, 180 euros for the digital product, and you have something about to have 5,000 to 5,500 euros turnover just to get break even in the costs of bringing in this title in the legal and economic systems we have worldwide. 3,000 euros, 5,000 euros, 5,500 euros turnover. Usually the download turnover for one music sheet is something about 2 to 3 euros. So you have to sell 2,000 sheets of music to get these costs repaid. And this is a very challenging task. So 300 euros cost or 200 euros cost is very, very important. We are looking for the euro. Digital value chain management in a second example. We have different processes to get all this running. We have seen we have a very difficult value chain, and these are the main processes we have. We have higher fees performance small right, higher fees performance grand right. We have higher fees broadcast and grand rights, higher fees CDs, etc., 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 etc. Sounds nice. And the process of this is something even more complex, because the process we've seen before is only creating the title. This is the process of creating the right. One of these processes. One of these processes. In fact, is this one, grand right. So there are a lot of steps, starting from here, going down to there. A lot of department, a lot of systems, a lot of work to do to get this right. Multipliable. I'm going to put it over here. And we have 11 of these processes over here. This is a process in detail. I'm not going to confront you with every step. It would be a night long activity. We are going to analyze it a little bit. In this process you have transforming functions where you are really working in the rights. But you have a lot of more functions. You have to control tightly what is done in this process, because one mistake can cost you thousands of euros. If you put up you write on the website and you got the Russian right wrong, you will pay thousands in Moscow. They will love it and sue you to heaven. So you have a lot of control functions into that. You have media transfer functions where you put something into paper because the Chinese love paper, where you put something from paper in the Russian system A, the Russian system B, where you put something from the Russian system in the US system, in the GB system, etc., 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 where you put something from the GB system, from the text system in Germany, which is also different, etc., etc., etc. You have forwarding functions and you have filing functions because you have to put all the documents down. In fact, you have 355 steps working into that our people are doing every day. We are doing this as 140 employees. And only 20% of them are really regarding the intellectual property right. The rest is management of control, management of forwarding, management of filing, etc., etc., etc. So music publishing as intellectual right management as a whole is controlling, it's filing, it's forwarding, and it's not so much working on intellectual rights. But we have to do that. We have to have all these documents clean. And at the start of this lecture, I had to sign a document regarding the property and the intellectual property rights. It was a paper. And if you go into 170 worldwide markets, you have to sign at least 170 documents to do so, because these reserving intellectual rights is still a matter of paper documents. And think about taxes, think about the income tax of the composer, the tax of us as a company, etc., etc., etc. Of course, we are doing a lot and we are investing a lot to get this clear. And concentrating, we can't concentrate on control. We can't concentrate that much of forwarding because we can't change the text systems worldwide. But what we can is to change the media transfer functions regarding the systems and the multiplications. In fact, we have at least 40 systems running to do all this. And if you want to go in a business, and if you want to make profit in this business with declining rates, you have to automate these processes. And what we are doing right now is to clean up all the system architecture to a system landscape like that. And if you know a little bit about IT systems and business, you will remember these three letters, SAP. It's a keyword for business software in the industry. We are concentrating on SAP. We are building a whole landscape to get all these done in the digital area. This means something about an investment to 50 and 60 million euros. And you know the multiplicator of an investment of 50 million euros, 33 times. We need that much turnover to repay the system, so we have to grow. In digital business, there are only two ways of business development. Either you grow or you die. Nothing in between. And you have to grow because you have that much investment in systems and processes to be profitable. Okay. This is the target system we have. We will have in 1 year's time all our systems into that. This is our SAP system area. These are the content management systems for our web shops worldwide. This is the digital ERP system for managing our content in different times, etc., etc. This is the target area. We target not the actual architecture, which is twice the size. 50 million, something like euros to invest to get this platform. This is so important because you have in digital economies what we call a high volume, low margin, high risk structure. We usually sell sheets, music at prices of 10 euros. You buy it at a wholesaler for 25 to 30 euros, we sell it for 10 euros. And all our processes are constructed for this 10 euro per order margin. What we have right now on download is that the price for a download drops from 10 euros to 1 euro, 0.99 euros, maybe 2 euros. So you have to be profitable at a fifth of the price, but you have to have more, of course, orders to get the same amount of turnover out of that. And you can't, if you see the numbers, do that without automation. So small publishing houses who don't have the effort, who don't have the investment that we can do, will die. There's no way upon that. You have seen that we have 1,200 music publishers in Germany. You have seen that they make a turnover of 450,000 euros per company. You can never pay a system like that I've shown you out of a turnover of 450,000 euros per year. Never. So a lot of these 1,200 publishers will die or have to go in cooperation with us. There's no way out of that. So you will see a mass destruction of publishers in Germany and worldwide, and only a few one will stay alive. 5 to 7 in Germany, maybe 20 to 30 worldwide. Nothing else. It has to, everything out of that has to do with this high volume, low margin responsibility. Shocking, isn't it? Okay. So far, I think I have any more time left? Yeah? Yeah. What can you do? How can you be successful if you have managed this problem, either by cooperating with us? As I've said, the rules are the same. Everything you do in a digital market has to be convenient. This is one of the key factors if you work in digital area. Convenience hits everything. Convenience goes before quality, goes before freedom, goes before flexibility, before profit, before privacy even. The people like to be in the Amazon Kindle ecosystem because it's so convenient. They can't put anything out of it. Amazon will know everything you read, will put you down. If you close your Amazon account, you lose every content you buy. And still, the people do that because it's so convenient. Convenient goes before everything. Don't go in the digital market without a convenient offer. Kills everything. And this, of course, refers to business too. We are talking so much about cloud services. Cloud services are nothing else than convenience services in the business area too. It's the iTunes store for companies, Amazon, etc., etc. So be convenient. Don't let your customers buy a whole panel school if you just want a piece. Don't tie them down to times and places. See that your data can be found, accessed. Tagging is the publisher's creative performance, not the photo, not the content. Very important. Next trend, socialization and differentiation. In 16 seconds, 2 years ago, might be double time, you had 1,500 blog posts, you had 600 videos and new videos in YouTube, you had something about 2,000 Twitter tweets in 60 seconds, etc., etc. What all this is about is that these peers and this traffic in the internet jeopardizes the sovereignty and interpretation of marketing departments, of publishers and classical media. It is not important what the government says about an issue. It is not important what the media says about an issue. It is important what your peers say about that. Nothing else. The peer of your Facebook account, the peers of your Xing account, of your LinkedIn account become much more important than anything else in the world. I'm going to show you this as an example. You know Bettina Wolf and you know the book from her. And this was the official communication of the Riva publisher. And you all can see the German, there was a beautiful description of this book, how good it is and how important it is. And it was in the media, it was in the Tagesschau, it was in nearly every classical media in Germany. But in fact, it was a disaster for the publisher. As you can see on looking by Amazon, because there were 929 peer reviews for that, and all were bad. And all referred to it as a catastrophe. So there was not that much books sold, and these peer reviews are much more important, and were much more important for the success of the book than anything the classical media did, the PR department of the publisher did, or anyone else did. Recommendation is a new search, and recommendation is the new issue for becoming successful. And if you are a publisher or if you are in digital business, you have to manage the recommendation activities if you want to be successful. Second meta trend. So you have to socialize your business, you have to give your customers an opportunity to present themselves, you have to connect your customers with your products, and you have to have a peer ecosystem, and to build up this ecosystem, to manage this ecosystem, to get your products sold in the digital content. Of course, all this costs money, because a digital ecosystem exists 24 hours, 7 days a week, and especially in the weekends, where a classical publisher has free time, and where the classical employee of a publisher is in bed. But you have to sustain this ecosystem at that time. So it's still more costs, more employee costs, and more you have to do over there, and still the big ones will be successful into that. Last trend I'm going to confer on, and then we go into the discussion, is the main competitor for us. It's not about other publishers, which are a competitor for publishers right now. It's not about technology. It's not about Not even about Amazon, which is quite good, or iTunes, or anything else. The main competitor we have nowadays is the author and the composer itself. I have an example for you. This is Dobrinka Tabakova, beautiful girl, good composer, beautiful music, very, very consumable new music. She has Grammy Award. She has, I think, something about 3 Grammy nominations. She has concerts in London, everywhere in the United States. And we've asked to get her for us 4 times. And always she said, I'm doing it on my own. Why do I need a publisher? Tell me, why do I need you? I don't need you. I can publish my scores on Amazon. I can do my right business by contracting a lawyer. I can publish because I contact the composers and the opera houses on my own. I don't need you as a publisher because I have all the means to do my business on my own. She can do that because she concentrates on one market, the English and the US markets, which are quite common in intellectual law. She doesn't want to go to the Chinese market. She doesn't want to go to the Russian market. So she has not the hustle we have in the processes you have seen over there, getting into worldwide access. If you stay at medium range, if you stay not to become very big, if you stay in one country or one ecosystem as a German or the European market, you can do that. You don't need a publisher. Right? This is a dirty little secret. Do it on your own. You can be successful. Not very much successful. All these self-composers and self-publishers, at least if they want to become very big, come to a publishing house after some years. But nevertheless, you can do it on your own. You don't need a publisher. This is our most important competitor ever, the composer himself. We are not fighting publishers as a competitor, we are fighting or winning composers and authors. This is what the business really is about. So far, that's what I wanted to say. Bottom line up front again. Digitalization has nothing to do with putting a paper document as a PDF. It's nothing to do with setting up a web shop for downloads. It has nothing to do with bringing up ebooks, but has to do with network management. And network management, as we've seen right now, is a totally different business than selling content. New organization, new processes, new management, and the worst thing about it, the big ones will profit and grow fast, the small ones which don't grow will die. This is the bad news I have to bring to you. I'm really looking forward for the discussion. Thank you.